it's lights out and away we go!
What's up, guys and girls, and welcome back to the F1 podcast. I'm joined by David.
Vive la Mexico!
Yeah, I am not even going to pronounce it. Is it Gran Priemo de la... Yeah, no.
Hernandez Rodriguez or something like that?
I have no idea.
Autodromo Hermanos Rodriguez, Mexico City.
Yeah, it was the actual title for the race. It's like Gran Priemo de la...
De la Ciudad de Mexico to 2023.
Yeah. And it's just like... Why can't you just call it the Mexican Grand Prix? Why do we have to call it all these fancy names? But...
Because then they go to the American Grand Prix and be which one?
Well, yeah, that's true, because you got Miami, haven't you? You got Miami, and then...
Got Miami, you got Go,
and then we got Vegas.
Yeah.
But I will ask, how much did you see?
FP1, quali and race.
Well, I know we don't normally do this, but I'm actually going to hand over to David for the practice one bit, because I didn't see it.
You missed it, haven't you? It's a free practice one. It was the battle of the reserve drivers, because we're getting near the end of the season. Plenty of teams had reserve drivers out for Haas in Oliver Behrman, Isaac Hadjar in the AlphaTauri, Jack Doohan in the Alpine, doing Frederick Vesti in the Mercedes, and Theo Pouchard in the Alfa Romeo. Of which in the battle. Go ahead.
So they have Pouchard, Frederick Vesti, Oliver Behrman.
Yeah.
Who else was that?
Jack Doohan.
And Jack Doohan.
And Isaac Hadjar.
And which one was Hadjar?
He's in the AlphaTauri.
Right, so there's only 5. So that left 5 other teams not running reserves.
They've either got their allocations, or I reckon we could see a few.
Apparently, there's a double at Abu Dhabi.
I was going to say, because the thing is, you look at this season, they don't want to run reserve drivers at sprint races.
No, I believe.
You lose your only practice session.
Yeah, I believe.
And nobody's going to want to run a sprint driver at Vegas.
Yeah, I believe.
Because your main driver's going to want the track time.
Yeah, I believe there's a double by Red Bull at Abu Dhabi.
Is there right?
Yeah, that's what I've heard.
But, I mean, in the battle of the reserve drivers, you got to give the win to Oliver Behrman in the Haas, 15th. He actually beat Fernando's times.
I'm sure isn't Oliver Behrman the one that idolised Button?
Yeah. Yes, it was. Because he was stood next to him during a warm-up interview and saying that.
So I do. Like I say, I know the names of, like...
Yeah, you follow the reserve line a little bit more than I do.
Because we still have one more F2 left.
It also followed I find a really funny incident that Isaac Hadjar had to change the power units, so Yuki got a penalty while not being in the car.
Yeah, but that...
Technically, it's Yuki's car.
I know it's Yuki's car, but it still seems shit that Yuki gets a penalty for the power unit change.
Yeah, Yuki got a penalty for Isaac changing the power unit.
That's shit. It's shit, that, isn't it, really?
It's the way the system works, and it's because that car picked up the penalty.
Yeah, the car picked up the penalty, so because it's Yuki's car.
That's just the way it goes.
Oh, that's.
But it seemed to be a practice session, actually, of quite a few little issues here and there. I don't know whether we're getting a little bit of end of season, but Alfa Romeo, I think, struggled to put a single lap in. Yeah, Pouchard got 4 laps in, of which I don't think he actually got a flying lap in. Because every time the car went out, he kept having to go back into the pits because he was triggering anti-stall. Now I don't know whether that was him not quite knowing the car. I doubt that very much.
The F2 and the F1, they're not too dissimilar, and I reckon there will. Yeah, I think we're seeing end of season Tivas. End of season wear.
Norris had this weird moment where the car came out the pit box claiming it was in neutral, doing about 18,000 RPM.
Oh, that can't be good for your engine.
But as originally pointed out, it claimed to be in neutral, yet it was rolling, yet it was moving. So I don't know.
So that sounds like a software issue then for the gearbox.
Yeah, it's as if it didn't realise the gearbox was engaged and decided to bang the clutch down and rev its tits off.
Yeah.
But either way, yeah. Leclerc driving around saying he could hear a metallic noise, which I still find amazing. I think that they're there with like balaclavas on, helmets, everything around, and thinks he can hear a slight metallic noise.
A metallic noise?
Coming from the engine. You reckon you could hear like a metal noise coming from the engine?
I kind of get why you would sort of hear that, maybe.
Yeah, no,
just
I do
because
get
he's that
like I said,
close.
just because you've got that many layers of stuff on, to then pick up this little change in noise.
Well, they'd be used to how the car sounds, won't they? They'll be tuned into how their car sounds.
Yeah, and Science's car suffered, I think it was a hydraulic issue.
Oh dear. I
Then
don't know.
the end your end results were pretty much Verstappen continuing his run of trying to win every session imaginable.
Yeah.
From Albon showing good early pace. Perez, Lando, Leclerc. Should say Albon 0.095 of a second off Max's time. I know never read free practice 1 times as anything, but
no, but
it was an interesting session.
That's weird because to have the Williams.
Albon's done this a lot.
I know.
Williams is very quick in a straight line.
Yeah, but where's the only decent straight in Mexico?
First straight, second straight, and back straight are all fairly high speed. Don't forget, Mexico is the longest start line to turn 1 of the season.
Yeah, it's about 800 and something meters.
So that whole main straight then you go round turns 1, 2, and 3. You have another fairly long straight. Then once you've gone through all the twisty stuff, you've got another long straight before you drop into the stadium.
Yeah.
But that's about everything I think practice 1 picked up. Now I'm gonna have to do what he did there because I never saw 2 and 3.
I mean,
I believe you did, so I can hand over to you for anything to report.
I'm just having a quick look at the practice 1 and where were Mercedes?
Well, Hamilton was 11th, and don't forget it was Vestry in the second car, so.
Well, yeah, so Russell
was 19th.
Out. Yeah.
It was actually the last person to post a time.
I mean, so obviously practice 2, it was a kind of a quiet one. I mean, it was late. It was a late one. It was like 11 at night, wasn't it, for us?
Yeah.
I mean, the only... Stroll had a wheel nut issue like Bottas did in Monaco, but they eventually got that off the car.
It didn't take them 46 hours to get it off.
No, they managed to get it off, but... The thing I don't understand is... Right, you've got cameras at the track, and the human wall... Because basically, the cameras tried to get into Aston Martin, like in the Aston Martin bit, to see what
was going on,
and the mechanics just crowded the car. I never understand why they've crowded the car if it's a wheel.
Basically, I suppose it's you don't want teams to see anything because you might just have a slightly different design of wheel nut to everybody else, and they just don't want.
True, but you think that would be standard all the way through the board? I mean, so Alonso looked not good at all.
Alfa Romeo really seemed to go off the boil this weekend.
I mean, Bottas was I'm gonna say it. Bottas was underdriving the car. He wasn't overdriving it. He was underdriving. Now, Bottas has experience of even getting pole. Bottas has had pole at Mexico.
Oh, yeah.
I loved Bottas's helmet, though. I will say that.
Well, they just here for the tacos.
Just here for the tackles and the moustache on the front of the helmet. I did like that. You know, I know it's only practice, but McLaren again up there. And, you know, Perez, yeah, two positions down from, well, one position technically, one position down from first practice. Perez,
Yeah.
I don't know what it is with Perez at the moment. It just
Could be a little bit of a self-fulfilling prophecy to me. He's not performing. He's possibly pushing harder and harder to try and make up for the fact he's not. And this is hard for me to, how much I like the guy. And as a result of pushing hard, he's making more mistakes.
yeah.
I mean, when we get onto the race.
Mm-hmm. And that was it really. It was just a bit. Practice 2 was just a bit of a normal session. I mean, the Williams had dropped again, but I'm wondering if that was because it was later on and
Could also have been doing like high fuel runs and stuff like that.
yeah, but maybe longer runs. Haas, they were there but not there. Ferrari were not there, really. I mean, Danny Rick, who shoved the rocket up his ass is all I'm going to say.
He must have been listening to this podcast where we've been saying he doesn't deserve the drive and Lawson should have it.
Because okay, yes, it was first practice he was in the car and he was showing 8th. Second practice 6. Yes, 6. And I don't think he was showing his true pace. As we'll come on to a bit later on. And I mean, did he have a mustache on his crash helmet and all?
I'll
think
be honest
he
with you,
did.
it's not something I
think he
pay attention to.
Yeah,
so.
I think he had a mustache on his crash helmet as well. But yeah, no, he seems to have come back quite strong. But I'm wondering, is that a case of he likes Mexico? Or is that a case of I'm now proving the doubters wrong here?
Bit of both.
Maybe.
Like I said, I do honestly. Because I mean, well, I don't claim that we are the pinnacle. I think a lot were thinking the same as us. Certainly from what I'd read around.
Yeah.
We weren't alone in wondering exactly why Danny Rick was being put into that car.
And then, I'm just going to go over to practice free. It was a bit uneventful apart from Sainz and Stroll. Sainz nearly collected Stroll in a spin.
Yeah, I actually saw. I didn't see the session, but I saw a replay of that later.
Yeah, that could have been nasty. If Stroll hadn't booted it and got out of the way, that could have been pretty ugly. But Sainz didn't just. I don't know what it was with Sainz in that session. He wasn't on it. It just seemed like he was struggling. I mean, even for Sainz to get, I don't know if he got spooked or what. But that moment, that momentary like lapse of concentration, just whether he was putting the power down too quick on the curb, excuse me, and it basically just span him. But I imagine the slick tires and
it's also, you got to admit, it's a course that doesn't get used a lot outside of Formula One these days.
no,
So as a result, I think it was very dusty in places.
Well,
it was very dusty in places. You actually saw that even as late on as the race.
And yet again, Perez had good showing in practice 3.
He's always enjoyed his home circuit, and because Mexico loves him.
Don't we know it for the fact that Max had to get bodyguards? Oh, one thing you didn't see. I just wonder if somebody kidnapped him. Did you see Marco there? Because I don't think I saw him. Alright, either that or I wasn't looking close enough, but I just wondered if he got kidnapped or not. I don't even know if he turned up, to be honest.
I never saw anything about him.
Because usually they show him. For some reason, the TV have got hard on for showing Helmut Marko. And I don't think they did. I don't know if they were basically, I think it was a case of, right, let's not show him in case, because we know the fans will, the fans at the stadium will see it, and things maybe get turned ugly. It could have, though, if they knew he was there.
Aye.
So yeah, it was a case of, was he there, was he not there? Who knows? The Williams yet again was strong. To be what? 0.007 off Max's time. Russell seemed better form. Piastri, better form. Bottas, good form. Yuki was a better form. And then, they had the old teammates of Lando and Danny Rick. Hamilton, don't know if he was struggling or if he was just long running it. But yeah,
they're on long runs. It's one of them. I mean, we were all also watching the Mercs carefully to see if a legal car was still fast.
Yeah. And it's just like so Leclerc and Sainz they were down. But
wait.
Yeah, there's more. It's just like, yeah. It was a bit blasé, but it was interesting. And shall we get on to the qualifying?
And if now qualifying is one I actually saw, so we had a.
Yeah, we might have a good discussion here. So, according to the results, right? I'm just going to say this. According to the results, Sargent didn't classify.
Did he not get his lap time thrown out the track limits?
Oh, yes, he did, didn't he? Yeah, he did.
I'm pretty sure he got. Because I'm pretty sure Yuki's second one got the same.
Yuki. No, Yuki basically didn't set a time in second session. He was just there towing Danny.
Towing Danny Rick round, yeah.
Technically. That's why, because he knew he was at the back.
Anyway.
So that's why I think he just didn't bother.
Yeah.
I mean, what is your view on this pit lane shenanigans, shall we call it?
No, well, my view is it's not right, but the trouble is what? I mean, we decided we didn't want the cars travelling around the track really slowly, where they get an opportunity to be wiped out by faster cars, which I agree with. So they come up with this solution instead. Now, the only thing I would suggest is if this is something we're going to allow teams to do, try and give the pit lane like a double wide exit system. And if you want to wait, at least leave a gap where cars can get past you.
And technically, they could have gone slow lane. They could have gone to the into the bit
Well,
of the
then you
slow
get,
lane.
because by rules, overtaking under a pit lane is not allowed.
Yeah, exactly. So it's
I mean, what's your thought? My thoughts are I don't like it, but I don't see many other options.
the problem
Like I
is
say,
the problem is the FIA have created themselves a little bit of a monster, because by doing the whole right, this is the lap time this is a minimum lap time you have to stick to. And
which I
then,
don't think that's the worst idea in the
no,
world.
that's not. Yeah, that's not the worst thing in the world. But then they've now got this other little problem of drivers sitting in the pit lane to create a gap. That's what was being done. But I don't, honestly, watching qualifying, I don't think whoever was putting the messages up of, race control, this, that, and the other, whoever does the whole prompt display information, could keep up. Because there was that many starting to get investigated. Because I'm sure I saw Alonso's name up there.
Yeah, I think there was quite a lot got.
You know what I mean?
At one point,
there was
that many cars stationary.
Yeah, there was a lot of names coming up there. It's like,
I think you almost hit the situation like the game hits sometimes, where when there's a lot of things happening, it can't quite work out which bit it actually needs to be.
Yeah.
Focused on.
And that's probably
what I mean?
That was what was happening. It was just like, okay, who's breaking live TV?
Now, as it was, there was actually only, I think, there was no penalties actually dished out for that, was there?
No. And that goes back to the whole them fucking up with Max back at where was it? Was it Singapore? Or was it Japan? One of them where the FIA then came out and admitted they were wrong. I think it was Japan. It was somewhere anyways. I think that's why it didn't get a lot done.
Yeah.
In regards of it. And then you had Hamilton being under investigation for not slowing for yellow, and Sargent got it as well. He got noted for it, but I don't know. And then Sargent, to rub salt in the wounds, him and Yuki got under investigation for overtaking under a yellow flag, and I don't know the results of this.
I think Yuki got a penalty for it.
To just rub salt into the bloody wounds.
I know I think Sargent got the guy. I think I posted to you in the PlayStation chat that Sargent got a penalty, so as a result, I'm pretty sure he'd have had to start back at Coda.
Oh, that was the 10 place?
Yeah.
So that was basically what, five place for each, or just a 10 for one?
I can't remember, to be honest.
I'm guessing they might have done the 10 for 2. So 5 for each, maybe. I mean, do we?
I honestly can't remember. Sorry, I know that's bad.
Do we know what happened for Hamilton at all?
Nothing, as far as I'm aware.
There's a surprise.
But they get nothing for Verstappen either. So
there's a surprise. I honestly expected was expecting Max and George to get a slam dunk penalty. If I was honest.
Max have probably still been able to win the race.
Well, yeah. But it was just, it was just all a little bit bizarre.
Oh yeah.
It was just a bit like pit lane shenanigans. It's like, look, the FIA, they need to either say, look, you can't do this anymore,
But what?
or
How do you say you can't do this?
like the whole stationary in a pit lane. For
Yeah, but the alarm to practice starts out the pit lane. You have to stop to do that.
Yeah, true.
You know what? If drivers would just claim, "Oh, I couldn't get a gear" or something like that.
Well, the thing is, they've got the data. They've got the data to prove
I know
it.
they have, but you know what drivers are like.
Oh, we know this.
Drivers and teams have come up with some system. They put a program in that made the car not allowed to select a gear till they wanted it to.
Yeah. But but Max was having the time that when Max was having issues with his gears when he got thingied for last time.
Yeah.
But I don't know between. If they're gonna do a gap, they should only allow them to be stationary for about no more than 10 seconds. If that's
Fair
the
enough.
case. I'd say about
the person
10.
have to like clock that.
Oh, they'll see that on the. They'd see it on the camera. They'd see it on the cameras or whatever. The views that they get.
They still have somebody would have to watch that with freaking stopwatches.
Yeah.
Because you know what the world of F1's like? No, I was only stopped for 9.8 seconds. I don't deserve the penalty.
Well, yeah. But they'd know by telemetry data. From the time it moved to the pit box.
I mean, the simple solution is they're not allowed to leave the garage till they're ready to go, but that would be a simple solution.
Well, yeah.
No, as you say, it's only stationary in the pit lane when you're taking a pit stop.
Yeah. But there is no unwritten rule saying that they can't do that. Because they can happily sit, as like, during red flag situations or anything like that, they have to sit in the fast lane.
Yeah, but you can soon specify that this is like only under qualifying. Red flags is a different.
Oh yeah, I get that.
Scenario.
But what I'm saying is if they're gonna try and do this, why don't they? Because they can't really do the whole fast lane, slow lane thing because of the equipment.
Not all pit lanes have the ability to do fast lane, slow lane.
No, because some pit lanes are quite thin. Monaco and stuff like places like that. But I shouldn't say fast lane, slow lane, but well, no, because technically it is a fast lane and slow lane. The commentators have said it's a fast lane and slow lane. God damn it, why do we have to use an IndyCar terminology? They do the exact same sodding thing. They have the fast lane and the slow lane. Is it a fast lane and slow lane? I should know, I do watch IndyCar.
I honestly don't.
Screw knows. But yeah, qualifying was just a bit, I don't know. It was just apart from the little bit of shenanigans.
And the sudden arrival of Ferrari.
Not just the sudden arrival of Ferrari. I'm not going to...
It's just weird. I don't even think the drivers were ready for that.
I mean, you had Max on top. Danny was, originally second at one point? Was he second or was he third?
He was fairly well up at one point. Yeah, I know what you mean.
That's what I mean. He was up there, and that was without Yuki's assistance. So, either the AlphaTauris had some massive improvement, or he's just asked somebody to stick a firework up his ass. To somewhat's ignited back with him. Like we say, whether it's because of the proving people wrong who've been doubting him.
Looking at you there, Myers.
Yeah. As much as I'm a direct fan.
No,
But
I'll admit ourselves, we've done it a few times. For that time Lawson spent in the car, to me, I didn't see what was being gained by Danny coming back.
No.
Now, I'm not going to say I changed my entire opinion based on one race. I will say that. If the rest of the season goes as well as that, though, then it could be a case he's proved a lot of us wrong. I mean, we know he's in the car next season, don't we?
We know he's in the car next season. So
I think we are still at the point where there's only Williams who haven't confirmed.
Williams haven't confirmed. I haven't heard anything about it.
No, neither have I.
And okay, Perez had an okay qualifying session.
Well, it's one of his stronger ones as of late, hasn't it,
And the biggest shock for me was Lando going out in Q1.
I think that was a Red Bull. That was a McLaren strategy issue. Wanted to go him on the wrong tyres at the wrong time.
Yeah. You know what I mean? It was just like... It was such a shame for...
That McLaren is showing such great form lately.
I don't know if Lando had been picking up tips off bloody Stroll, but he was not happy during his interview in the pen. You could tell that in his voice. It's like, okay, I get the adrenaline still pumping for him, but give a little bit of respect to the media, for Christ's sake. And it's just, yeah, I mean, Nico, like, but he was showing some pace and obviously ended up hammering K-Mag in qualifying. The Alpine of Ocon just struggled. Whereas Gasly didn't do too bad. Okay, it was only 11th, but I still think Gasly's trying to prove something.
I think both the Alpine drivers. I think Alpine haven't had the season they wanted.
And to be honest, you know what I'm about to say here?
Go on.
I bet they wish they never, ever went the way with the whole Oscar Piastri situation. I bet they never wished they'd done what they'd done looking at his form.
Oh, yeah. Imagine what he did. Well, yeah, I know what you mean, but at the same time, I mean, we said it at the time that, I still say, we said last episode about the way he conducts that, but at the same time, it's got to be proven that he's worked out for him.
Oh, yeah, it has. I mean, it's, honestly, I don't think Oscar... it could sound wrong, but I don't think he would have won that sprint in an Alpine.
Oh, no, definitely not.
So I think, yes, it's had, the right choice. Yes, like we say, he didn't conduct... Yeah, but the problem was, the reason why he didn't conduct things the way he did was in response to Alpine and them basically assuming that he was driving for them. Even though technically Oscar was contracted to them.
Yeah, I honestly,
without
don't fully know what's going on there. We probably never will.
Well, it was obviously they announced it without asking him. Basically, that's why they got the response that they did. He wasn't consulted first, right? He was on. It was only said that you're making it look like, yes, you are driving for us,
Mm.
rather than, saying, will you drive for us? Yes, you are contracted to us, but technically, it was a case of you are driving for us, not will you step in. And
Yeah.
that's, I think, the reason why he didn't handle it as good as. And to be honest, I don't think I don't think his manager will have handled that too well either. And I think most of the way that Oscar reacted was probably a little bit down Webber as well.
Probably, yeah.
Because you've got to think, Mark Webber is his manager.
Oh,
He
yeah.
was not exactly a one to shy away from.
Well, typical Aussies. Typical Aussies, and that's why we love them.
But that's what I mean. I think there was a bit of, yeah. But it's done him well. Okay, Hamilton, yeah. Russell, yeah. Perez was, I don't know. Don't know what have I don't know. We both like Perez, but it's seeming it to me. Yes, Perez is safe, but he's chucking away.
Yeah, I don't know what's got Alex here. Whether he needs, I think he needs to step back and relax a little more. I think he's a large chunk of it.
Yeah,
If I'm honest.
it's just like he's doing the whole. He just what. I don't want to say this, but I'm gonna. It's like Danny at McLaren.
Hmm.
Ricardo at McLaren just didn't seem to gel.
Hmm.
And Perez now, Perez was on good form. I just think the so much pressure on him now. And because the media probably keeps spinning about Marco being an absolute twat to him, apart from the whole that issue, and he's probably feeling all right. Well, then he'd probably seen what has happened at AlphaTauri with Lawson and De Vries and all that lot, and he's probably thinking in the back of the mind, well, shit, if I don't perform,
That could be him.
Marco will do the same to him. But at the end of the day, Checo's safe for another season.
Yeah. Which I think he's the right choice. I think we all know once he gets his head back together.
Yeah, he just needs to recharge, I think. It could be the fact that, you've got so many races as well, and with it being his home race, I think there was just so much pressure put on him.
Yeah.
So much pressure. And I get it. It's like Silverstone, all the Brits get. It's like Max going to the Netherlands. Alonso and Sainz at Spain, sort of thing. Or Ferrari, Italy. Stuff like that. It gets hyped up way too much. And, the drivers will be aware of this. And, Perez knows how much he's loved.
Oh, yeah.
In Mexico. Yes, he hasn't got a big following like Max, you know what I mean? Where Max can go to Zandvoort and there's just an absolute ton of the Orange Army. And then when Perez goes to Mexico, probably
I would say he's got as big a following there.
Yeah.
If you take countryside into account.
Yeah. But I just think there was just a lot of pressure put on him. But he should be used to the pressure.
You'd think so by now.
I hate to say it, but I miss the old Perez. I miss the Perez from the...
Oh, from the Force India days.
From the Force India. You know, that guy could go from last to first. And he had
Go from last having spun out on the first corner to first.
Yeah. You know, he used to have some incredible drives. It's just... I'm not going to say it's his age. I'm not going to say that. I'm not going to...
He's younger than you.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not going to say it's his age. It's just something's got into his head.
It's the curse of the second Red Bull seat.
Yeah, but the problem is the curse of the second Red Bull seat. You know, Perez has got... What? 20 points now. Separating him and Hamilton.
I know, it's getting a bit close there.
For second place in the Drivers' Championship. And now we're going to come on to the race portion, where Perez is going to get mentioned yet again, but probably not right away, unless David wants to mention Perez right away.
Well, if we take things in chronological order, it would be fairly early mention.
Did you see any, like, the build-up or the podium, fucking Jesus Christ, the national anthem?
I saw the national anthem being done.
Right.
Yeah, that's about the point where I joined in.
Please explain something to me.
Go on.
Because I sort of glanced down to my phone at the time. Why was the camera just literally focused on Perez only? And why was Perez stood on his own?
Well, he was front and centre, wasn't he? He was
Yeah,
stood further
why?
forward than the rest of the drivers. Because he's a Mexican and it was Mexico.
I get that, but it was just a bit like... Poor Perez.
Yeah, obviously, they wanted the home driver
Oh.
where everyone could see him.
But they never had that last year. It's just like, what the hell?
Yeah, he did strike me as a little bit odd, did that, I must admit.
Yeah, it was very odd, because they didn't do it last year. And then him on his own, and it was the camera while the anthem was going on, because I did happen to see, was only focused on him. None of the other drivers even got a look in.
No, he kept flicking, he kept going, well, no, he did, he ran across because they had all the, I think it was the national anthem singers, he kept spinning between them, but yeah, he was stood like right behind the trophy.
Yeah. But all the dignitaries were behind him.
He's obviously a bigger name in Mexico than even them.
And then you had the drivers, because you could see the other drivers behind them. I didn't get that. It was just really weird. It was just like, why can't he be back with the other drivers, sort of thing? You know, they didn't have bloody Max stood there on his fucking own at Zandvoort.
Not this year, but now they've seen that can happen.
Yeah, they might do.
Next year he'll parachute in during the national anthem. Just watch.
That would be fucking funny if he did. And hope he sticks a landing. He'd have to go double tandem just to make sure he doesn't get injured.
Eat shit on the way down.
Yeah. So obviously, as you know, Yuki got the penalty for the power unit change.
No, well, no, he didn't. Technically, he's reserve driver on the power unit change.
Well, yeah, but Yuki still had to carry the penalty. And then, we got the formation lap. We got, blase formation.
We should add in as well one very interesting. Alonso got a €100 fine for speeding during the pit lane on his way to the grid.
Was that for the actual grid?
That was for going to the grid.
Oh, so going to the grid where they usually work on stick on the
They do like 1 or 2 recce laps quite often, don't they? Just to make sure the cars. Yeah, well, you got done for speeding in the pit lane during that. You got €100 fine.
That's chump change, isn't it?
I think it is. I don't think. To be fair, Brundle said it himself during the build-up. Yeah, you can't really start dishing out race penalties for that because they're not technically in the race yet.
No.
So that's just a slap on the wrist. That's just you're a Wally, don't do it again.
Well, that's just a speed. It's technically that's the price of a speeding ticket in Europe, probably. But it makes me wonder. I'm guessing he didn't have the pit limiter on then.
Oh, he let it off a bit quick or something.
Yeah, maybe. Let's get this out of the way. Before it hurts us both.
Well, turn 1.
Turn 1.
You say it hurts us both. I mean...
You're a big... Yeah, but you're a Perez fan as well.
I am, yeah, and it was hard, but you got to give him credit. He went for it. He had a cracking... Both Red Bulls had an amazing start.
Yeah.
And he went for the gap. Okay, it didn't quite work in this start. I honestly think he could have turned in later. I think he turned in a bit early.
Yeah, I think he did. I think he did turn in a bit too early. And, you know, Max was definitely... They were squeezing that Ferrari. Weren't they just squeezing him?
Yeah, it was we had a similar incident a couple of races ago, didn't we? Was it? Well, basically, it was the Hamilton-Russell incident. Could be seen as a very similar thing.
Yeah.
Where basically the car in the middle has nowhere to go. And the trouble is, it's all right saying, well, Leclerc could have backed off.
So could
But if
Perez.
you back off hard,
oh, yeah.
whatever car's behind you is coming through your rear wing.
I mean, yeah, you saw how... You saw the start. How many cars were just... They were alongside. It was...
Oh, yeah.
It was a bit...
Which is what we want to see.
Yeah, but it just... You know what that reminded me of?
Go on.
Seeing them go off the start line like that kind of reminded me of Magello.
It made me think of, can you remember, was it Singapore a good few years ago? Where Raikkonen, I think it was Vettel in the Ferraris, managed to squeeze Verstappen.
Yeah.
In a very similar method.
I mean, you know, the one thing that you don't like to see, though, is a car go airborne.
Oh, yeah, that's kind of so little suspension travel. That cannot be fun.
Yeah, but he got a bit of height.
Oh, I'm not surprised I'm actually surprised the car made it back to the pits.
Yeah. He was not happy, though. He was frustrated. Because you saw him take it out on the car, on the wheel.
Oh, yeah.
But no.
Well, I think you would be in that situation, especially like saying in front of his home fans.
Yeah. I mean, the word I'm going to use is maybe he could have chosen his battles better.
Yeah, yeah, but
I know.
he at the moment,
yeah,
I've said it before, we want drivers to go for gaps.
Yeah, it's a shame for Perez.
It was a shame, it was almost a bigger shame for Leclerc. I think Perez did some very excellent interviews where he sort of played it down. I think Perez would have been on the same list as Dr. Marco. Leclerc, I mean, would have been on the same list as Dr. Marco.
I bet.
Yeah, I think back to Alonso's comment after Zandvoort of did you think about going for the win, taking it off Max? And he said no, because I wanted to leave the circuit tonight.
I love that comment.
It's tongue in cheek, but it was so well delivered. It was.
Yeah. But Yeah, no, it's like you say, how the car managed to survive because of obviously something that
We've definitely
happened.
had the last few years we've had, so it seems to be quite a big increase in toughness. Because cars seem to survive knocks like that more. I mean, we're going to go into a car not surviving a minor impact in a little bit, but...
But, yeah, I mean, it probably will have damaged the rear suspension. There'd have been either,
You just got to hope it hasn't damaged either the gearbox or freaking like a drive shaft or even the engine or
the
something.
engine. It's the engine and gearbox.
Because as I keep saying, we're quite late into the season now and teams are starting to struggle for spares a little bit. You really don't want to be losing components this late on. You may not have the ability to replace them.
No. I mean, he did get that back wheel must have gone at least what, about 5?
No, it was 5 or 6 feet in the air.
It's got to say,
Taller than the height of another F1 car.
Yeah. Did it crunch the front wing like?
I don't think it did, no.
I was surprised.
There's a massive hole in the side pod, which I think it knocked the corner off Leclerc's front wing. Which I don't think anything came of that, because at one point, because the FIA were thinking of looking at him for driving for too long with a damaged wing, weren't they?
Yeah.
I actually don't think any, because it fell off of its own accord eventually.
Yeah. But no, it's just, yeah, to see the car go airborne though is a scary thing.
Oh yeah, because that, like I said, they've got so little suspension travel. That's not good for the driver, for the components, for anything.
No. Well, there is something I do want to tell you, but it's not relevant to the podcast, so I will tell you during the other thing.
Oh, okay. Tune into competitive multiplayer to find out what he was talking about.
Yeah. Into the competitive multiplayer series. And was it like what, lap 33 or 34? We had an incident with a Haas.
It was 34 because it was pretty much halfway. Now, there was a little bit of a pre-runner to it, whereas was it the lap before we saw K-Mag go off the road at the last turn and really barrel across the very, very rough edge of the track?
Yeah.
Then as he entered the S section, I'm sorry I don't have turn numbers to hand. Basically looked like a rear toe link broke.
And next minute he's just
spat the car very hard into the Tech Pro.
Yeah.
Did a lot of damage to that. That's another one that I reckon they could have lost the gearbox there. Because the gearboxes don't tend to like being pumped around like that.
Yet again, I am going to bring this up. What took him so long to chuck that red flag?
I guess a lot of the time. What took him so long for the marshals to actually get to the car? Because it took quite a while for the marshals to. Now maybe it's a place where there's not a huge amount of marshal stations. They would have to come from nearby.
There probably wasn't a lot of marshals, but they probably weren't allowed to enter the track until the safety car had been deployed.
The Haas was already well ablaze by the time anybody actually bothered to come
out. No. Well, it was a rear brakes, wasn't it? That had
brake duct.
Yeah. And it's like, wow, what? Yeah, but like you said, what took them so long to do that? They could have instantly just.
I often think with likes of the red flag situations, they don't like throwing them straight away. Because I think they're always kind of hoping that once the car sort of gets moved, that they might not have to.
Yeah, but you'd think as soon as they saw that fire.
Fire's quite a minor thing in Formula 1 circles. Don't forget, the red flag wasn't because of the fire. It wasn't actually because of the car. It's because of the barrier.
Yeah, it was because of the barrier, but
once they'd moved the car,
Well,
so the barrier was going to need some.
We can't say the red flag wasn't because of the fire, because if we go back to Grosjean, there was a red flag instantly.
That you could tell you were dealing with a much, much bigger incident there, though.
Yeah, I know, but I'm just saying it was a red flag instantly. Whereas
you also had a there because it was first lap and so close to the start. You had a medical car on scene immediately. You had
and there wasn't technically there wasn't a barrier there, was there? There wasn't Tech Pro there.
no. Until they'll be waiting because obviously they'll have the pictures and they'll have seen where the car's gone in, but they'll need to know. Right, does that barrier need big repairs, or is it sort of good to go with just a patch and a remove?
But it did. Even when you saw the replays, you saw, yes, that the barrier was damaged.
Oh yeah, and the problem is, the barrier's not actually broken as such, but you got to think if a second car goes in the same spot,
there's less.
Is that barrier going to perform to where it's supposed to?
Well, yeah, there'd have been less.
Just less resistance there than the
yeah.
You can't guarantee it would offer the protection it's supposed to.
No.
So the safest option is to get it properly sorted out before.
But yeah, no, they did. They seemed to take a little bit. Like I said, the marshals, they wouldn't have, obviously, because they're not allowed out on the track until it's either a double wave yellow or a safety car. Because you've seen.
So you would think double wave yellows would have been flown the second that car hit the barrier.
Yeah, it was.
You fly double wave yellows immediately because you know that's going to be a bare minimum there.
Yeah, and there was a little bit of not inconsistency as such, just a bit of too much of a little bit of a delay to certain events. As soon as he'd gone in the barrier, the way he did, safety car should have been out.
Yeah, I would agree with you there. Like I said, I don't actually think they called the red flag too slowly. I think because we do. Maybe I'm in a minority here, but we don't want a situation where they're throwing red flags for the slightest little thing.
No, but if they knew, like we said, they knew that the barrier needed repairing.
Yeah, but until they got somebody in with experience, they might not know that. Cause not every marshal will fully understand the barriers, if that makes sense. It probably took an FIA official to go and look at that barrier and to say, no, we need that.
Well, maybe. Or they'd have seen it on the.
Yeah, it could have been. Because I'm assuming an FIA official will at the very least be in the medical car. Or the lads in the medical car will be considered senior enough to act.
Technically, yeah, but one of them, depending on who it is now in the medical car, because I don't know who it is anymore. He'll be like an ex-racing driver.
But I've seen it in the past. I don't know if it happened there, but I've seen it in previous races where like one of the FIA top table have gone out to inspect a crash site before, like Dominicali or somebody has gone out to look at a barrier before he's allowed them to race again if they're not sure.
Dominicali is not FIA.
Yeah, he is.
He's only Formula 1. I didn't think he was FIA.
Well, F1 management then.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Somebody from
I know,
level.
Yeah, but sometimes I know we have had race director go out at certain race directors going out to the sites at some point.
Yeah,
as well.
So that's what I reckon. What happened there was the yellows got waved the second the car hit the barrier.
Yeah. But
safety car was deployed once the FIA obviously saw it on screen and realised it's more than just a wheel this out of the way job. Then once somebody with authority got to the site, will have radioed back and said, this barrier needs big repairs.
Red.
The red gets called.
Yeah. It should. I don't know. I think that safety car should have been. It should have been, like you see in other. There is other series.
Maybe you're right. Maybe they could have done it. It's like I say, I just personally.
The safety car could have been a bit quicker.
I don't want them to be just pulling immediately.
No, it's not the pulling the red flag. It's a case of the safety car could have been quicker there. Because he got out of that. I don't know what had happened, but he got out of that car
I think he was just a bit winded, wasn't he? Because he did look a bit.
I know he got up on sat up on the tech bro, like.
And then decided to go and sit down behind it instead. I'm guessing how the sunlight to a bit cool. I think he was just a little bit winded.
Yeah,
as far as I'm aware, I've certainly heard nothing to suggest he was injured in that accident.
I don't know, because he was the way he was doing his hands. Unless he was, you know.
He was just doing a systems check. Yep, still there.
That's what I mean. Was he making sure his hands were okay and not injured, or?
Well, to be honest with you, I can't remember if we saw the onboard or not, but anytime you lose control like that, you let go of the steering wheel. Danny Vic proved why you do that.
Yeah.
If you feel the car going like that, you let go of the wheel. Because you're not going to do a lot to control it, and if it does hit a barrier, it can, well, say, Danny
Rick. Yeah. You can break your wrists.
Yeah. But that, of course, threw us a little red flag interval, which I don't know why. For some reason, we always seem to get good races when we get. I started to wonder if maybe we should start doing F1 races in two halves. Because we always seem to get I mean, it's another standing start, which is always good.
Yeah, that was a bit. How long did the red flag last?
Wasn't long, was it about 20 minutes, something like that? Less time than we spent talking about it, let's put it that way.
Yeah, I didn't, like I said, because I only managed to get the hit side of things, they cut between the two. Red flag period.
Yeah, it wasn't very long at all. I think we lost about 20-25 minutes in total. But luckily, there wasn't a lot of sorting out needed doing, because, like, it's not like they'd had some fun and games over what car should be in what position when the red flag was called. Because they don't even understand. That's the other thing, actually. By doing the safety car red flag, you don't get that situation where they're trying to figure out exactly which car should be in which position.
Well, didn't they put up on the screen what?
Yeah, they put the order up. But what I'm saying is we've had it in the past where they've not been sure because of the way you have to count back.
Oh, we'd been playing shuffle. You know, previous. All I've got to say here is Abu Dhabi 2021.
Yeah, but by doing the safety car first, it gives them a solid line.
Yeah.
Because you just go to the safety car order. And there can be no arguing there because there's no overtaking on the safety cars.
And
so we got the restart, at which point Max actually managed to start well again, considering traditionally in Mexico, first is not a good place to start from.
No.
The front row's traditionally not good because you're giving a massive tow
to every bugger else.
To all them buggers behind you.
Yeah.
But he managed to hold them off. As we said in the second half, we had a few different interesting tyre strategy options. Looking at you, Mercedes, for that one.
Why? What did they run the halves?
They came out on the mediums, didn't they?
Did they?
Mediums, yeah. Half the race to go, and they had them on the mediums.
Yeah, they did. It's alright. I was just trying to glance quickly across to my TV because I've got it it's replaying in the background. Yeah, they did.
Sorry, are we disturbing you from watching it?
No, it was a weird point because the fact that you mentioned Mercedes and there was Norris going after
Russell.
Russell's on the mediums.
Yeah, Mercedes chose with halfway to go on the mediums, which was a bold strategy, which actually paid off for them. I'm not going to lie, but
yeah. And I mean, you had a few DNFs. Hamilton scored the additional point for fastest lap. Bottas
on the last lap.
Bottas received a 5-second for causing a collision.
That was him and Stroll through the stadium, wasn't it? You don't see many overtakes through the stadium, and those two prove why.
Yeah. You also had Alonso, who was a DNF.
I can't actually recall what happened to his car, I'm afraid. Stroll retired because of the collision with Sargent actually had a fuel pump issue on the very last lap.
Oh.
Because you actually saw him peel off into the pits as the other cars were going around to the line.
Yeah. And who got driver of the
Lando.
day? Norris.
Which we should mention Lando for well-deserved. I think, did he have something like 25 overtakes during that race? When you consider there's only 20 cars on the grid.
Yeah.
It just goes to show if he'd have got qualifying right, I think they'd have been a serious threat today. But
Well, that was the
he got
thing.
himself back up.
You know, he was like, what was he, 19th? No.
17th one after a couple of pit lanes and
17th. So from 17th to
5th.
5th is good going for Lando.
Oh, well-deserved driver of the day.
Oh, yeah. Hey, Lando did like a certain corner for going out. Him and George going on. Where the hell was it? I don't know turn numbers and names of Mexico.
I think you mentioned it before, Alpines. I did make me laugh that both Alpines suffered with a very annoying Haas issue.
Mm.
In that the Haas was just fast enough in a straight line.
Yeah.
That even with DRS, they couldn't quite get onto the back of him.
Yeah.
Which I thought was hilarious to watch lap after lap.
You know, fair play to Danny, 7th.
Yeah, for AlphaTauri, that's a good result.
Yuki was 12th, Gasly, Ocon, Albon. Albon 9th. Still points for him.
Oh, yeah.
Oscar? Don't know, he didn't.
Didn't have the best of races
No,
this
he
time.
didn't.
Yes, now, maybe it's just a track he's not as familiar with. We've got to remember he's still in rookie season and he's done so well that it's easy to forget that. So you don't begrudge him. I mean, at the end of the day, he still scored points.
Oh, I'm not complaining about it. I'm just saying he.
Which, as you say, you think of where McLaren were 21 races ago.
Yeah.
If you'd have told him that he'd been scoring both cars in the points by the end of the season, I think Zach Brown had shook your hand and said, "I'll take it."
And you can't forget. They're now what 20 points clear.
Of Aston Martin, yeah.
I think about 20
It's 20 points.
20 points clear of Aston Martin.
Yeah, so that's been the turnaround.
But Aston Martin have been having the shockers.
And not just from one driver.
No. It's unusual to see. The problem was, it's unusual to see Alonso mess up. And stuff go wrong for Alonso. But it's crazy. Even though the constructors and drivers have been wrapped up.
No, that's the wrong terminology. They've not. First place has been wrapped up.
Well, first place. Yeah, but
there is still a lot to play for, and there's a lot of prize money involved in.
At this point, Mercedes and Ferrari are just going to swap places either way. Second and third of the constructors are technically secured, but not secured because one team will go second or one team will go third. Because McLaren don't have a. McLaren can't catch. I don't think. Not with 3 races to go. Because McLaren's 256, Ferrari's 349, Mercedes is 371. So technically,
but now it's somewhere behind, and technically, it's mathematically possible.
Whether they can,
No, I think you'd be asking a hell of a lot there.
That's what I mean. But yeah, that's why I said, the constructors is basically wrapped up for second and third. But it's which team out of them two is going to go second and which team is going to go third.
Yeah.
But it amazes me that I look at the constructor standings right in front of me. 731 points for Red Bull.
Oh, yeah, I know.
731. And Max is nearly over the 500 point mark in the driver's standings.
I know, it's mental, isn't it?
What was that? His 16th?
16th win of the season.
Win of the season?
And I was going to come down to what I was going to talk to you about maybe later on, but I might as well come into it now. So, there's 3 races left as we sit here right now.
Yeah.
Do you reckon he can make it 19 by the end of the season? I love putting you on the spot with stuff like this.
Yeah, but look what happened. Look what happened when I said that last time.
Yeah, I know, which is why I love doing it to you.
And Singapore screwed.
Yeah, but we've not got, with the exception of Vegas, perhaps, we've not got another Singapore coming.
I'm going to say he'll want to do it.
Oh, the team, he'll want to do it. The team will want to do it.
Yeah.
Plus, it'll put them in a position where I think there's only McLaren previously have done the trick where they've won every race but one in a season. No teams ever whitewashed an entire season. That's a fact. Once, McLaren did the only lost one, but it was when there was only about 12 races in the season.
Yeah, where Red Bull could have... Red Bull, if that car would have been on form, I want to say he probably could have done the entire season, but I reckon he'll want to win the last 3. I mean, is there anything you want to, get out there quickly and wrap up? Your thoughts of the race?
It wasn't the best one. It was a better race than Kota last week.
Yes. I'll give it that. I'll give it that.
As I said, gutted for
Perez.
Absolutely gutted for Perez. But other than that, no, I think Norris deserved driver of the day.
Yeah. And there is one more thing.
Yes, there is.
We need to do. And I need to go like this. So as you know, obviously, we are doing the F1 Fantasy League through the official Formula 1 fantasy game on F1.com. What an arsehole. Alan, one of Alan's teams, actually, you didn't have a good one, did you?
No, I think that's just buggered me for any chance of catching you, I really do.
So what actually... Oh, right, okay. He had Danny Ricciardo in that team. In his Funtime 82, he had Danny Ricciardo.
Alright.
Alonso lost me points. Guan Yu Zhou scored me 2. But, yeah, Alonso lost me the points.
That's the thing. I can't get why mine, because I only had 1 negative.
Perez.
Yeah.
What? Why? What are you compared to me or compared to?
Just the fact that I only ended up fourth there.
Because Alan obviously had Hamilton, Max, Norris. Alonso lost him, but Piastri scored him. He got -7 on Aston and 57 on McLaren. You, off your last race, I think it was your Williams that
Could have been.
I think it was your Williams that did you, because Williams, what was it, 20 points for Williams?
Something like that.
Yeah, 20 points for Williams, 45 on Red Bull, 48 and 14, 2 for Guan Yu Zhou, whereas Alan on his team above, obviously -7 on Aston, but he had 57 on McLaren, but Alonso lost him. Max, he had a 2 times. Hamilton was 41, and then 48 and 14 for Norris and Piastri.
I think we all have our 2 times on Max at this point. It's a pretty safe bet.
I've always had my 2 times on Max.
Pretty much the same, yeah.
But I only got second. Compared to his other team, I only got second.
Mm.
But what helped him was Leclerc and Danny Rick.
Yeah.
Alpine, and he got a big points boost there for Mercedes.
Mm.
But it's just, like I say, I'm clear of him, but I'm not clear of him. So his rough races is 4.473. Yeah? I'm 4.754. And I've led this league for the majority of this season. And I want to continue leading it.
Yeah, but none of us want you to continue leading it.
Exactly. I know you don't. But have I now pulled myself far enough from Alan? And the answer is no.
Hard to tell.
I don't think I have. I just need the Mercedes to. What I really need off that team is Hamilton to not. Hamilton to not actually score much points. Because I think Guan Yu Zhou will be a little bit better, and I need Alonso to stop screwing up. I think that's a good point to finish.
Covers Mexico for us, yeah.
Yeah, so the next one is
Brazil next week. Sprint weekend.
This weekend.
Yeah, sprint.
And then we've got 2...
Then we've got a week gap, then we've got, I think it's...
A week?
Vegas and Abu Dhabi back-to-back in it to finish. And then it's the end of November, so we've got to be finishing at some point, or else we're going to be racing.
16th, well, we'll be next year's December, racing into December. Yeah, no, Brazil is the 3rd to the 5th.
Yeah.
Then we have the
16th to 19th at Vegas. And then is it 23rd to 26th for Abu Dhabi?
They've screwed their dates up.
Why?
Yeah. No, little typo on their schedule page. This is 16th to the 18th.
Well, no, because the Sunday's the 19th.
Exactly, but they've screwed up. There's a typo in the upcoming section.
Alright. Then 24th to 26th, I'm pretty sure.
And then the 24th to the 26th is Abu Dhabi. The Abu Dhabi is like a 1 o'clock race.
Vegas is like late-ish on, isn't it?
No. Vegas is early morning.
Is it?
Yeah, Vegas is at 6 a.m.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because quali's like 8 till 9. Practice is... Their practice sessions are like 4:30 till 5:30, 8 till 9, 4:30 till 5:30, 8 till 9 on quali, and then like 6 a.m. race.
Right,
real crap times for Vegas. And we might as well say the Brazil, so these are obviously our times in GMT.
Yeah, we're back in GMT now as the clocks went back.
So it's like...
Just after recording this.
So it's half past...
I should have put my clock back. I couldn't find the receipt.
So it's half past... It's a 5 o'clock race. On...
That's not too bad.
Yeah, 5
AM or PM?
5 p.m.
Oh, that's good.
And it's like 6:30 till 7:30 for a sprint. So it's basically practice 1 is 2:30 till 3:30, qualifying 6 till 7. Sprint shootout 2 till 2:45. Well, they say 2:44 apparently, but I'll just say 2:45 to make it easier. And Then 6:30 till 7:30, sprint race, and then the race is at 5. So all fun and games, and it is going to be fun and games because it's Brazil. Anything else you'd like to add?
No, I think that's all. Have you got any thoughts? Any last comments?
It was an okay. It was, like I said, it was an okay race, but it wasn't one of the best. And shame for Perez. But we'll move on, basically.
Yeah.
So, obviously, thank you for joining. Well, joining. Thank you for listening. But joining us and listening to us ramble on and stuff. Obviously, thank you to David for joining me again.
It's a pleasure as always. It's great for you to have me.
Obviously, you know where you can get your podcast from. Still on the same usual places. Still the same release times. And we'll see you for the next one. So, until then.
Later, folks.
Goodbye for now.